Alright, in her engagement, Kaylee provided a lot of information. However, she did not present any actual sources for the information that she provided. She just stated a lot of data that didn't have truly any backing. So essentially, I really shouldn't even be responding to this. But considering, there's a whole grade writing on it, I guess we're gonna go ahead and go for it. So she listed a few different reasons as to why she believes that the government should remain a part of the American education system. And one of her examples that she was using was the long hours in school and how it shows more benefits. She essentially looked to other countries such as China and how Chinese students there, they log in more hours and they score better than Americans do on tests. However, I don't know if that's necessarily true because she didn't provide any facts that point to a direct correlation between more schooling hours and more successful Chinese students. The success that she's talking about could essentially be attributed to the fact that their parents are more strict or the fact that they have better work ethics. You can't just say that, oh, just because they spend more time in school automatically means that they do better on their tests and their scores. Also, she didn't really success is a broad term. It's broad in itself, and the students that may be accomplishing these successes in these areas they could possibly otherwise be irrelevant to this debate and more importantly to the U.S. education because she doesn't really describe or define success and in what terms she is saying that these Chinese students are actually accomplishing it. From an article by English teacher Christine Tucker on education.com, the disadvantages of longer school days, I found out that there are a few negative effects of increasing school hours that Kaylee probably hasn't taken into account. A few of them being attention deficit and fatigue. If you have more hours, then students are going to have to pay attention more and more in their classes. And right now, it's hard to keep K through 12 students attentive as it is because they have their phones, they have their friends, and the more time they spend in class, the less they're actually going to be able to focus and just pay attention to the teacher. And additionally, fatigue. If they have more hours in class, that means they're going to have less hours for doing other activities. And sleep is probably going to be one of them. If you have more hours in class, you're more likely going to have more homework, and that's going to take you up later, and that's going to require you to get less sleep at night. Also, there is no actual correlation between improved test scores and more schooling hours. This is a direct quote from Tucker's article stating that children and teenagers in the United States spend more hours in school than kids in Asian countries, according to data that was compiled in 2009. U.S. children spend an average of 1,146 instructional hours per year in school. Students in Taiwan, Hong Kong, Japan, and Singapore spent 1,050, 1,013, 1,005, and 903 hours respectively. However, students in Asian countries consistently outperform U.S. students on math and science tests. So although even in the year 2009, students in these Asian countries were putting in less hours in school, they still outperformed American students in both math and science. So you cannot necessarily say that having more instructional hours or more school hours in general is going to directly attribute to more American success. Another thing that Haley brought up was that homeschooling students don't get the same social experience as government schools. Well, no, necessarily the school that they're getting is not going to be the same, but either way, homeschooling students are going to get interaction amongst their peer groups as well, unless it's really physically or emotionally a burden for a student to actually leave their house and interact with other people with similar interests as them, I don't really see how that could be an issue of going out of their way. I would say, it could also be argued that going to school for 12 years and 5 days a week and 7 hours a day, people could say that that is a burden itself. And also, some public school students, they do feel trapped and uncomfortable at home. They don't have many options such as leaving. As opposed to homeschooling students, you can just say, well, this is not an activity or a group of people who I actually want to spend my time with. I'm going to leave. So I say that's definitely more beneficial. Moreover, homeschooling was only one option that provided after the federal government being eradicated from the education system. Kaylee neglected to acknowledge that some traditional schooling systems opening up to education to the free market were also alternatives that I presented. As I said earlier, Keely talked about research and saying that for students that obtain quality education receive better benefits, but she didn't say where her research came from. And clearly the quality of the education the government is providing is not overwhelming, because if it were, we wouldn't be conducting this debate. So I don't truly see how any of her assertions can be found sound. And lastly, one more thing that Keely said that was kind of unnerving was the fact that schools train and develop students' intellectual knowledge and ability. Train is kind of bad because we're not really animals, we're humans. Schools should not be training. They should be cultivating and nurturing intellectual knowledge, ability, and creativity. You can't train an individual to be creative. You can simply restrict and stifle them from allowing it to grow if you have the American federal government in it. So for these reasons, I believe that the federal government should be eradicated from the American education system.